So now I have a point cloud attached here. This was created using context capture from photographs made into a POD file, which is Bentley's proprietary format for point cloud. It allows us to quickly manipulate this point cloud, spin it around, and move it without any problems, as we see here. So first thing I want to do is drape some line work across here so I can get a quick section. So I'm going to go to a top view. And one thing when I'm drawing, I don't really know what elevation my cursor's at. Now, I don't want to snap to things because I want to draw it right above these railroad tracks. So if we right click here, you'll notice that there's some tools that are turned off. And this is one that I turned on, the Set Active Depth. And if we look here, Set Active Depth, I turn that on and this button appears. When I choose this, the lower left corner tells me to select the view. So I'm going to left click here. And then it says Set Active Depth Point. I'm going to come over to another view here and I'm going to snap maybe right on this cat pole so that I set my elevation. Now that allows me to draw a line. And here's another tip. If you hold Shift and Control, it'll turn off that dynamic snap. So now I can just click and draw my line across this perpendicular to my railroad tracks and click there. And now I have a nice line drawn across my railroad tracks. The next step will be to drape this. So in my reality menu, reality modeling workflow, under the extract tab, we have Drape Element, and we see here Drape Element onto reality mesh or point cloud. So right now I'm doing this with a point cloud, but everything you're seeing here I could also do with a reality mesh, meaning I could take my photographs from the drone, run it through context capture, and produce a scalable mesh, which is a little faster and easier to work with than a point cloud. So I choose Drape, and it's going to ask me one for a height and my direction. By default, this is set to view 1. This is based off your seed file, but right now I want to set that to my Z-axis, so I want to flatten this straight down. We have the option here to keep the original and also use all reality models. So I'm going to use all of them. And my output level, I could put this to section drape. Now, in this case, I could say keep the original because maybe I want to copy this up and down. Really irrelevant at this point. But another option here is our Facet Curve. This is something, it does depend on your project. Right now, I'm going to leave it with default. And this generalization, that's used to take out vertices. Basically, what's going to happen here, it's going to triangulate your point cloud here and drape a line across that tin. That's going to create a lot of vertices in the line. You can simplify that by adding a tolerance in here. I'm going to leave that off for this example. Now it says identify element to drape. So I'm just going to pick this line, and we see right away here in this upper area, we have this line draped across this point cloud. Now, as I said, you're going to see a lot of vertices in here. So when I pick on this line, you see all these little vertices in there. Now we can simplify that. So what I'm going to do is hit an undo, and we still have our original line up there. I'm going to pick that same tool again, but instead let's generalize this, and let me set this to 0.2 so that we could see the Douglas-Quaker algorithm that's running here. When I run that process again, we come over here, and now when I look at my vertices, we see there's a lot less. I got a couple here picking up that middle transition and this hill, but it's not getting everything along here. So with this setting, you may look at the bank and say, you know what, that gives me enough data of what I'm looking for, or we could adjust that very easily. Just hit Control Z again, pick the same tool, drape the line, but now instead of 0.2, let's set this to 0.05, and I'm going to pick this line and accept it. And just that fast, we see my line is draped across here. If I select it to look at the vertices, we can see now there's a lot less vertices, but we are getting the ups and downs probably that we need. So this is probably a good setting to deal with to set this line work for us automatically.